So let's keep going with all of our stuff and things. Let me adjust my microphone real quick so it's in a slightly better position. That might have been loud. We're going to do some more ability stuff. I've been working a little bit today during the day to... Oh, that's for thumbnail purposes. Let's increase camera speed again. To rearrange a couple of things as far as like the abilities go, the recipes, where you get them. I was thinking right now, the UI is still a mess. I'll have to improve that at some point, I'm sure. But right now, if we go to like the crafting, right? We essentially have every recipe in the game unlocked right from the start. And I kind of want these to... well, be unlockable, because otherwise what you end up with is a crafting menu where you have a bunch of recipes that are just overwhelming, and most of them you can't craft anyway. And making them unlockable also gives me something to put in places around the dungeons for you to actually unlock. So there's going to be a bit of a split between the abilities that you craft and abilities that you find. And for the most part, the abilities that you find, the abilities that you need to craft, rather, you still need to find the recipes for, is what I am currently thinking. I don't yet know exactly the details of how I want to make the recipes unlock. What I'm thinking is I just want to make items that unlock the recipes. That way I can just put them in chests and I can just use my existing item system to unlock them. And the way that that would potentially work would be something like going into here, item assets. How would that work? That's a fantastic question. I guess they would actually be item classes. So we would make a... That makes sense, yeah. That does make sense. That's probably going to crash again in a moment. Probably need to fix that error, actually. That's just my custom thumbnail rendering being kind of messed up. I thought that would be... I thought I'd fix that. I fixed it for the assets, but not for the classes yet. That's kind of weird. Does it consistently crash? Like when I go back here now? It seems fine. No idea what happened there. We can make HR Blueprint class a BP... Well, it's actually BP usable item that I want to make a chart of, I think. So that would be a BP recipe item. Because what I want to do is first and foremost the inventory icon. Do we have like a scroll or something? Paper. Tutorial icon. That is a good placeholder, I would say. Yeah. And then we will just give this a new variable for recipe to unlock, which will be a name variable. Then going into our item assets, I guess these are technically consumables? Question mark. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we can make a new item of the recipe item now, which will be, I don't know, something. Hold on, well, something fell over probably. In the items we have this recipe table. So I still want to use this recipe table, but instead of just going over the array of recipes that are in this table, What I want to do is I want to have an array of recipes that I have unlocked, and I just get those rows only instead of getting the entire table at all times. I don't know, upside or downside about that, really. The side effect, is what I will call it, about that, will also be that the crafting menu will display the crafting recipes, presumably, in the order that you unlock them in. So that might make it a little bit more confusing, or a bit more intuitive. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm going to put this over on my other monitor so that I have a reference to it. Because all that this needs to do, and honestly, can I just make this in... I could just make one item that... No, I can't because they're assets. They're not like dynamically instanced. Yeah, let's just stick with the way that we're doing it now. Item assets, consumables, recipes. We'll make potion. Didn't I make a data asset editor for this at some point? Hold on. I think I did. Data assets. I mean, that makes sense. Data asset editor. There we go. Run editor utility widget. There it is. Okay. We can just do the recipe items. There we go. And then we make new ones. The question is, where does it make the new ones? Oh, asset location and then asset name. There we go. Look at me using the tools that I made. I'm actually like slightly not an idiot today. What's going on? I'm kind of scared. Okay, I'm an idiot again. I can't even find my own fucking... There we go. So we get the copy path. I kind of want this to just be undocked from the sidebar. I want it to just be up here. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. We put that in there. Ooh, that's not ideal. That's not too bad. And then we'll make one for ether. And then we make the new asset. I am so glad that this exists. Look at how we're going, man. There we go. Heal. Make new assets. Thunder. So the upside of having all of these craftable is also that I can make crafting recipes that take in different spells multiple times. So I have one of them here. I think it is Chain Lightning. Takes in a Thunder spell and a Thunder Trail spell, I believe. Both. But the thing is, both of those are infinitely like replenishable because one of them is craftable, the other one is a like monster drop. So you're not gonna like get put into a situation where you have to give up a spell forever to craft a new spell necessarily. But you will probably have to give it up for a period of time until you can get a new one if you want to like have both at the same time. Or you need to wait crafting the next one until you get a duplicate or whatever. Multi-shot fire bowl. And then we also have regen and chain lightning. At this point, it is worth considering, do I actually want to use the data table? Because these things can just kind of have the, well, yeah, no, the data table is probably still the easiest way to do it, because I can just give it, like, names to an array and just say, hey, these are all the unlocked recipes that you have. If these assets themselves are what we use to reference whether or not we have something unlocked, it's going to be more difficult mostly just to like save that out, because then we need to like save out the asset location and load them back in and all that. We don't care about that. We want to have them in our inventory as an item, And then when we use them, it just gets rid of the item and it just adds its name to a list. That's all that it needs to do. So I'm just gonna go through now and copy over a bunch of these things. That's kind of tedious, but that's the way we do it. It's a little less tedious with the data asset editor widget though, which again is just legitimately, I don't use it that often, but this might legitimately be one of my favorite things like that I've made. Because it also has like built-in drop table visualization. Anybody who hasn't seen this before, I'll show you in a moment because it's, again, something that I'm very happy with. All right. There we go. Okay, so if we save everything real quick, if I change this over to being the drop tables, it actually shows you it doesn't anymore. There we go. It actually shows you the like percentage breakdown of every single drop that we have in here. One of them is apparently just like black though. That's kind of weird. Okay, it seems a little bit broken. Why is this one black? I guess when it's nothing, I have programmed it to be black. Then, okay, sure. So yeah, when it's... Ooh, that's like super broken. Ooh, something is super broken about this. Okay, yeah, so maybe it doesn't work that well. Because now it's showing... maybe it doesn't deal very well with things that only have... No. It's just not clearing out the previous thing whenever we... Yeah, okay, this is very broken. Never mind. I was going to show something cool, but then seems like it's broken. Still, we have... That's just a normal data asset editor with like... Nice. It works. Works really well. Yeah, let's make all that work. And then we'll probably get back into making abilities, because that was fun earlier this week. The recipes though, item classes, recipe. We have the use item, which I don't think the parent function does anything. Yes, so we can get rid of that. The user is the actor. The target also is an actor. Inventory slot is the inventory slot that it's in. So what we do is we get the user, which is gonna be this dude, always. Probably would be better to put this on the player controller instead of the player character, but I don't care. So why am I making a new function? I guess it's not that bad an idea to make that a function actually. But here we are. Unlocked recipes. Simply gonna be a name array. We cast to the third person character. Get unlocked recipes. Add unique. Get name. The variable. Ooh, that's. Oh, it's BP usable item. That's the wrong class. Whoops. We needed to do it in this one. So yeah, recipe to unlock. Oh, I just gave in the name to all of the... Oh, I did it in the wrong one, didn't I? I think I did. Let me check that real quick. I think we messed up. Recipe item. Recipe to unlock, yeah. We can just copy paste all that over though, which again, a little tedious, but not the end of the world. altogether. So yeah, now when we use this item as a item in our inventory system, we will... Did I already do this one? That's weird. We will unlock the recipe for it when we get to like the crafting. The interesting thing about that is we can only equip these items to use them at save points. There might be something to just, when we add them to the inventory, immediately like automatically use them, but that might be confusing as well, because then when you add them, they instantly disappear. And again, I kind of like the idea that inventory management partly is part of the game, because upgrading your inventory is like a upgradable stat. So if you don't want to spend like experience on that, like managing what you have in your inventory at what time is like a choice. And I like choices. So yeah, that's what we do. Then where is all my UI stuff? Surely it's somewhere in here. Probably in pause menus, I would imagine. Of all people, I have Beethoven in my chat. Wow. You're welcome for the tutorials, though. Where is my crafting menu? Crafting menu, there we go. So this gets automatically populated by not this anymore, but rather, do we have... Surely we have like an item grid that is getting given inventory component from the player. You know what? I don't really care. We're just gonna do get player character again with this, and then cast to... God damn it. Third person character. And then once we have that, we will get the unlocked recipes, I think I called it. Yes. So now the crafting menu should only show us whatever we have unlocked. Now is now. And yesterday is yesterday. Hello. So, if we go into the crafting menu now, it should show us nothing. Let's see if it does show us nothing. Pretty immediately, where are the rest of the items? It should give me a max stack of every item in the game. Anyway, it doesn't show us anything here, so that's good. First time not having something show up is good. Why does it not give us the items though? Because it gives us these. It doesn't give us these. Why not? Oh, the max stack size is 0 for all of them. Yeah. Let's change that, shall we? Asset actions, property matrix, max stack size. I guess 1. And then the value... I don't think I want this to be sellable. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think making these sellable is a fantastic idea. I think that's a horrible idea, actually. So yeah, we have a bunch of recipes now. So we can like add in the potion recipe to our usable items. And the like ether recipe. We can even start out the game with having some recipes, obviously. But even if we have those recipes in this chest, just to like show you, crafting doesn't have anything. And then if we use all 3 of those, which I just did, it doesn't get rid of them yet. That makes sense because I didn't program it in. We now have those 3 recipes available to us to craft. So the recipe stuff works, aside from the fact that it still doesn't clear out anything. Why not? Is it because I am not doing the parent function? I thought it would automatically do that. Oh, I'm doing usable item. I should do consumable item. I can easily change that still, right? Consumable item. Yeah, so now that's a consumable item, it will, well, consume it. Ideally. Why not do that? So, let's try again. I'm just gonna, like, get regen. Just one is enough. It doesn't. Does not consume it. Does give me the wait, it didn't give me the proper one. That might be an issue with the data table though. Hold on. Oh no, no it does. I was just an idiot, I think. Because it takes in one heal spell and gives back a regen. That makes sense. Okay. Why does it not get rid of them? Because the... I don't remember how any of this does its thing. I do know that like usable items are somewhere in here. Special modifier, magic modifier, up item. Yeah, so use like any of these items will do. They're in their specific inventory slots. We cast a usable item, then we use item. Oh, I guess consumable item has a parent function that does the deleting. That is probably what's going on. So if we do call to parent function. Yeah, there we go. So it removes them from slots and then it applies in this case a gameplay effect, which will be nothing. Gameplay queue will be nothing. Well, we probably will actually add in a gameplay queue for that, to be honest, and some sound. But yeah, in this case, man, I think I'm just gonna copy this code over, because this code is specifically meant for like a specific attribute to be checked and then checking whether or not that, like, I didn't anticipate this being used for things like recipes, right? So realistically, this should be its own function that I can just override and just always say yes. Yeah, that's probably a better way to do it. Hold on. Collapse to function. I can consume item. This second output doesn't need to exist. Can consume. And then this actor, we get gameplay ability or ability system component. What the hell? Ability system component, there we go. I don't know what was going wrong there. Apply gameplay effect to sound. That's the only thing that we need to do there. Yes. And this can be a pure function. There we go. And then, since we have that now, we can go back into our recipe item and override can consume item to always just say yes. And then we can just add in the No. Call to parent function, which I guess we do at the end just to be safe. Because it does delete a thing from the inventory. It shouldn't really matter. Now I think about it. But it also doesn't hurt to have it at the end, so let's just put it there. Alright, that should remove it from the inventory when we actually use it. So, fucking didn't. Why didn't it? Oh, heal is also, it's called heal, but it should be called regen. Well, we can fix that later. Why didn't it? We can consume item, that's always going to be true. Then we remove item from slots. The item that we remove. Yeah, no, that should do what it should do. Because if I add in like a potion there, I need to get a little bit of damage before I can do that, of course. But if I add in a potion, and then also one of these, yep, and I let myself be damaged. I can use the potion and it uses it. I use this, it uses it, but it doesn't delete it. Why doesn't it delete it with the recipe item? What is going on there? Oh, did I? No, I didn't. So this shouldn't be running at all in that, right? Because we just do can consume and always return true for when it is a recipe item. So, like, are we running this at all? Because I'm not going to lie, it seems like we might not be. And if that's the case, I am confused. Because there doesn't seem to be much of a reason to not be doing that. Yeah, it does run that code, but it only runs it. Oh, no, it runs it. Oh, hold on. No, it doesn't run that code. Those hellos are from something else. So it doesn't run that code. Why does it not run that code? Also, definitely this hello should be item check. Because surely it's not running this code, is it? Because if it is, that would be really weird. But we gotta check. I'm gonna check that it runs it with this as well. So let's put in the item there. It runs it on the potion. Doesn't run it with the potion recipe. So why does the potion recipe not like do fucking anything? The user, this cast must be failing. Both user and target should be the same thing. Maybe I'm just not giving in a user there, only a target. Maybe I'm not giving in either. Well, I'm definitely giving in a target. Yeah, it's probably I'm not giving in a user. So that's just me being an idiot. Nope. Well, it is me being an idiot, but not for that reason. Why the hell? It might just be... Oh, you know what might be going on? Cast to third person. No, there's only one of them. Yeah, and it's actually like it is the right class because I'm getting this. Why is this not? Get player character, for both the user and the target. So that's definitely not the issue, is it? Is it? It must be, though. But if that's the case, I don't know why. Yeah, the cast doesn't even fail. Yeah, I know that the cast doesn't fail because it does this. But then it just goes on to this and it doesn't do anything. Why? Let's see if it runs this version of the item check. I thought this was going to be a quick, let's do it at the start of the stream, right? It does do that item check. So then I might just copy over the code that removes it. I prefer not to do that, but this printing true. We should just start with one of the recipes in our inventory for testing purposes. That's printing true. So, okay. That means that whatever we do here will get printed. What items will I be introducing into the code today? Well, right now we're introducing the concept of items that unlock recipes to craft other items. Because I want the recipes, I have this like recipe table. If you've been here for like months, you might remember this. I have this recipe table that has all the recipes, but so far it's just fucking thrown the entire table into your face, and I want the table to be like unlocked recipe by recipe. So I'm making items, which are somewhere here, recipes. There we go. Just one item for every recipe, and those are usable. And when you use them, they just add the name of a given recipe row, and when you open the crafting menu, you'll see everything that you have unlocked. That is pretty straightforward. What's not straightforward apparently is removing these things from the inventory once they're used, because they're a child class of consumable item. Consumable items get removed. This thing just refuses to be removed, and I don't know why. But after that, we'll go back to making some more abilities, most likely. I say after that as if that if we're actually like going to succeed with fixing this stuff. So it runs that code as well. It runs it. Oh, and it. Oh, it removes it from the inventory, but it... Okay, so it actually does remove it. Hold the fuck on. That is a interesting thing going on there in that case. Because does that mean that this... Can I just pick up one item? Do I have a button for that? I think I have a button for that. Do the consumable items also not update this thing properly when I use the last of them? Because that might just be a generalized bug. So you just like, smack me? Keep smacking me? One more? Oh, that's just generally a bug. Okay. Fuck. That's not good. Why does it do that? Where does it even update these things? So yeah, apparently that issue wasn't an issue at all. I guess we have the update preview. No. There's a couple of things that we need to do anyway to fix up what like this thing does, I think. This top actually not actually like getting used anywhere that I can see. Oh, it's probably in one of the. Oh, there we go. Yes. Magic previews. There we go. Get item preview info. Set magic preview info. Cast to item. Cast to consumable item. Why don't I just immediately cast to consumable item? That makes no sense. But sure. If the item is valid. Okay, so I guess what happens... No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, so it doesn't update the preview until... It updates preview before? No, it also doesn't work. Why does it do that? Why does it do that? Because it sets the name and then item amount. And all those that based on the item being valid or not. Oh, no, I know. I 100% know why this is doing this. Because if this cast to item fails, obviously it's not going to update, right? So if the cast to item fails, we just needed to update preview to being empty. That's the entire issue, right? Right? I'm smart, right? Well, no, I'm not. Otherwise, I would have not put that there in the first place. But there we go. Okay, that fixed it. Cool. Doesn't fix like the 1,000 other issues that we had there, but we have individual recipe items now. So we only need to add that to our save system, because otherwise we're going to not be able to save that, and that would be annoying. So save game, unlocked recipes. And I guess we just do this on save game. There's no reason to do this like every single time we add something, right? Yeah, I mean we could. We might as well just like not as well. We have our save stuff somewhere in here. So save game variable. We set our unlocked recipes, and then we need to move over a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, not that much stuff actually, just this plus that. Unlocked recipes need to be an array. And then we just from the third person character get unlocked recipes. This needs to refresh. There we go. Thank you very much. And now that should persist across saves as well. I'll test that at a later date and be frustrated with it not working for unknown reasons at that point. Because I do want to go back in and add in a couple more abilities, because I had some ideas. for abilities, again, that are super quick and easy to make, that don't require me to do like a lot of focusing, and will feel good because we feel like we're making progress. So we had this ability in here somewhere to increase our defense, right? Temporarily. Increase defense. So what if we made one that increases... I put it down here in Obsidian. I actually did make an Obsidian vault now, and I have everything more or less listed in there now. So I had the idea to do one that also boosts piercing damage, or rather just turns all your damage directly into piercing damage. So it just bypasses the defense of enemies for a given time. It's going to be an expensive one, but also just generally one that then I didn't write that down apparently. One that just increases your strength as well. So if the darkness coming from the floor, I have one that's just like an electric AoE, icicle shards, meteor strike, piercing boost, poison cloud, send enemies to the end of the game, spikes between the player and the target, spikes from the floor around the target, tentacles around the targets, and oh, I also have, I was playing Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, because frankly I just wanted to like have inspiration for abilities. And Zero Gravity is actually a pretty like neat spell in that game. So I think I might just kind of steal that idea, where enemies just get like kind of lifted up into the air for a certain amount of time, and they're effectively immobile and more susceptible to damage. So that's pretty easy. But yeah, so increased defense. All that we're going to do there is we're going to make one for increased strength too. So we can do increase strength. And just like that, we'll have a new spell. Sometimes just as easy as that. Sometimes just that easy, man. We'll just need to make a temporary gameplay effect. They're not called temporary, they're called infinite here. Been in my head with my own gameplay ability system for my turn-based RPG. Increase player strength. Because there I also have a like policy duration for temporary, which works kind of the same way that infinite works in here, but infinite in my system means something else. Because it's turn-based, it's slightly different. So yeah, we just go strength. So what I am thinking is for the next one, well, let's finish this one first, actually. Oh, it already is that. Sure. Cool. This one might make sense, and the other one as well, to actually like multiplicative, just add like 50% instead of a flat number. I think that makes more sense. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just like double it. Right, so we multiply. Now we do the same thing for player defense. We multiply it. Let's multiply additive. I think that's just in case. Yeah, because you might be able to apply this more than once. So compounding that would be probably pretty insane. Let's see, increase defense as well. Go back here. So this just doubles your strength or your defense. So then we'll make an item for that in a moment. I also had the idea of making one where you do just 100% piercing damage, effectively. So like pierce damage. Like strength to piercing damage is what I'm going to call it. And this one is going to be a little interesting, because what it's going to do, I think, is it's going to make a gameplay effect that sets your piercing damage to your current strength, which the combination of these two might be quite deadly. But it'll also take up 2 of your spell slots. So you know, it might still be overpowered. We'll need to see. But yeah, so we can essentially make 2 override effects. So set piercing damage. I just don't know if override effects work with being removed again. Right, because if we set this to override, I guess we'll have to just check. I kind of hope that override also is able to revert back to its previous state once the effect gets like de-applied. But I guess we'll see. So that's piercing damage, and then we also like override. Set strength. I'm just going to call these set strength and set piercing OV for override. Yeah, so if they don't do it the way I think they will do it, or that I hope rather that they will do it, we'll be able to set up some workaround. No problem. It'll just be a little bit more tedious. So we'll apply these 2 effects. First, we'll set the piercing override. So set damage piercing override, and from that we'll get attributes, and the attribute that we'll get obviously will be the current strength. Set that there. And then we'll set the strength itself to being 0. Because otherwise it's going to do both damage and piercing damage. And I don't want it to do like any defense damage anymore at all. So we do set strength just to 0. And then at the end we remove the gameplay effects. I'm gonna go ahead and set up some print strings here as well to monitor the actual values of both of these attributes. Something is fucked. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because I'm kind of nervous about this actually working or not. But we have our event tick in here somewhere, surely. There we go. And we're already printing out the value of our defense. So let's print out piercing damage, and then actually let's make this just an append. PRC will be this. And then space space str just normal strength will be that. Let's make items for those abilities so that we can actually use them. So spells. So that's increased strength and strength to piercing, right? Yeah. Just get increased defense, duplicate, increase strength. Easy as that. And then duplicate it once more. And that will be strength to PRC. Let's actually capitalize that in a way that makes just a lick of sense. Strength to piercing damage. Okay, both of those are now... Okay, strength and piercing are both at 1. That might not be ideal for testing purposes, actually. Yeah, that's actually not great for... these are labeled as... Okay, I should give them proper names as well. I mean, we can still... Okay, strength is 2. So strength got doubled. That makes sense. So in about 60 seconds that should revert back to strength being 1. In theory. Hopefully. There's also a chicken that wants to really be part of the stream. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, the 60-second thing might be... I probably should have just made that a little shorter. Oh well, here we are. Yeah, for the rest of the testing I'm going to make this just like 10 seconds, because this is like really annoying. Because just like last time, I'm like, is it doing it? Okay, there we go. So, increased strength works, good news. And then the other one, it doesn't seem to work. Unless this is the increased defense. Yeah, I'm going to give them all proper names, hold on a moment. Because these are all still called sacrifice. So this is STR plus. And then this will be STR to PRC. We'll give them actual names at some point in the future, I'm sure. This seems to not quite work yet, though. Which makes no sense. Because oh, no, that does make sense. Because this actually starts at 1, this curve table. And it doesn't, like, extrapolate beyond its endpoints. So what it actually needs to have is... It needs to have a value at 0 as well. Every time, man. Every time Unreal takes a moment to save, my heart rate goes through the roof. Oh, I was gonna... well, we can wait a minute, it's fine. Strength to piercing. Strength is 0, piercing is 1. Now I just need to know whether or not strength is gonna go back to 1 after all this. Because... Override sounds kind of like final, right? It sounds like something that's not going to reverse itself. But hopefully it will. And then we'll need to try this in combination as well. Well, actually, now that we have all the time in the world, while we're waiting for this to wear off anyway. So let's put on Strength Plus. I guess right now putting Strength Plus on won't do anything. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Although, maybe now when it comes back, will it be at 2? Because it technically does have the gameplay effect of multiplying it by 2. Still applied to it. I don't know how it works. Like, does it apply at the moment of application or throughout its entire duration of existing? Okay, so it maintains activity. That's actually super interesting. So there is a little bit of an exploit possible here, I feel, because we're now at strength doubled. If we now do strength to piercing, we have taken that strength doubling and put it into a piercing damage. Which means that we're now like doing full piercing damage. Oh, we can't. Oh, okay, yeah. So maybe like do something about that. We can't attack while these abilities are active because reasons. Those reasons are probably attack. So these aren't attacks, so they don't need to have the attack tag. Yeah, so long as something with the attack tag is active, I can't do any other abilities. Which is, I mean, working as intended, to be fair. Just need these to not have attack tags. Maybe we'll make a tag for like stat buffs or something like that. But yeah, you can definitely see how that's abusable, right? Because I can already see how this is abusable. We need these gameplay effects to not be stackable, first and foremost. Because we can do this. I mean, this is why we want it to be additive, to be fair, and not compounding. But now my piercing strength is just 10. And you can do this as long as you have a checkpoint nearby. So yeah, probably like don't do that because, well, actually it's not even that bad. I guess when you start like leveling up your strength, that does compound, right? So if I pick up this and I go, hey, stats, strength, just like go nuts on it. Well, it only goes up to 0.2 at the moment, apparently. Okay. Oh, that's the thing. Okay, yeah, so we need to do a little bit of work here, I think, because strength is a multiplier, piercing damage is a direct value. Because you'll see when this wears off, eventually. It might not, actually, now I think about it, because we might have like fucked it a little by leveling up during all that. No, okay, so there we go. Strength is now back at 2. And you will see that that does more damage than the piercing being at 10. Because the strength, again, is a multiplier of your damage. Piercing is a linear like addition to your damage. So what that should do instead is your damage is based on the weapon that you're holding at that moment, though. So I guess what we do is we just like multiply it by a decent number. Well, I guess we can multiply it by your current piercing damage, right? And then like times something. So the strength multiplier will still be a multiplier. So what we do is we do like piercing damage times 10 times strength. Which will be a maximum of, well... So if your piercing damage is like 5, that becomes 50. And if your strength is 2, that becomes like 100 piercing damage. So that would be maybe a little overpowered. So maybe 10 is not the exact right metric to go there. But yeah, so the idea would be that we set this to being your piercing damage times, let's do times 5 times strength. So that still leaves the possibility to do like insane stuff, which might be very exploitable once again, and absolutely like melt everything, including bosses. Doing stuff like, actually, let's like increase our stats to like, again, strength all the way up to like 2. If I now increase my strength and then strength to piercing damage, my piercing damage is now 20 for the next minute, which means it's not even that bad still. I mean, this definitely adds something to that. That's not even that bad. Like, this setup, yes, it does deal a lot of damage comparatively, but this is like a significantly leveled up strength stat. And then stacking these two spells together. And it doesn't like break the game immediately, which is surprising. So maybe we do multiply it by 10. Because I kind of like the idea that this is mildly game breaking. Like it shouldn't one-shot every enemy. And that sentence stops there. There's no bots. It shouldn't one-shot every enemy. But it would be funny. God damn it, I said a bot anyway. So, strength is 2. Our strength is... Well, actually, we can still do this, right? I kind of forgot about this. Yeah, so we definitely want to prevent you being able to do, like, all that. Because now our piercing damage is 300, which means that we do actually one-shot everything. Yeah, like, maybe we don't want that to be a thing. Because that is insane. Just look at this, man. Suddenly, this is a very different game. It's kind of fun, though. This feels like one of those, like, end game, congratulations, you've beaten the game, now you get to be, like, grossly overpowered kind of deals. Which might be fun for, like, a credit sequence, to just give the player, like, 1,000 piercing damage and let them go ham on randomly spawning enemies at the end. Then again, the credit sequence is going to be, like, made by me. So there's not going to be a credit sequence. Unless I can, like, find money to hire people at some point to, like, do things like music and maybe, like, some sound and maybe some art stuff. But then still, it's going to be, like, made by 3 people. So not quite enough for, like, a full credit sequence. Maybe I'll throw in, like, all the Patreons at the time or something. Or all the patrons that have ever, like, given money to the channel to begin with, just to, like, make a credit sequence. That kind of seems like it's worthwhile. But that's something for future me to worry about. For now, though, I want these gameplay effects to... okay, so there's one very easy way to prevent this from happening at all. And that's preventing the ability from executing. So we have the increased strength. We just activation owned tags. This is a... Just make a new tag. Well, we have, like, status. I guess we can make it in status. Hold on. Status dot buff dot strength. And then we also do a status dot buff dot piercing. Because I do kind of like the idea of having them both be able to stack on top of each other. I just don't want the strength to be able to stack on top of itself. So we make sure that we activation owned give this strength. And then also, while this is active, we block abilities with the tag status buff strength. And we kind of have to do the same thing with the defense, I suppose. But for now, we... Oh, no, that's the wrong one. So we activation owned, block abilities with tag. I guess we can also put this in activation blocked tags. Stackable stat buffs is kind of cool. But if it is abusable like this, it's a little... If it's like stackable in the sense, the gameplay effect is still technically stackable. It's just this gameplay ability now is not stackable. So if I make an area that applies the same gameplay effect on top of whatever you yourself do with abilities, you can still like doubly multiply this. But But the abusability of, like, the cost being it costs MP, but if you're like right next to a checkpoint, you can just mash the button to like infinitely increase your strength and keep replenishing your HP or your MP with the checkpoint, and then convert all of that to piercing damage. And it'll only last a minute. So to be fair, by the time you get into like any combat encounter, you're halfway through that increased damage. But I think I much prefer potentially environmentally applying some effects that you can stack these things on top of to, like, in very specific situations, go absolutely like bananas with these. Because otherwise the winning strategy for like literally any boss would just be spec all of your level ups into MP and then spam strength up until you only have one cast left, and then use strength to piercing, and you just one hit everything. Maybe two hit every boss, but you're gonna like this. That's a little too easy as an exploit, I think. Game doesn't need to be perfectly balanced. It's totally fine if there's like some very powerful strategies in the game, but within reason. But it does feel really nice to just one-tap everything in range. It's really fun, I will admit. But I think doing that like through the majority of the game, that'll get boring really quickly. There we go. So now we can only... Oh, we can still apply them. That's... I guess we need to put it in the other category. This one right here, right? Yeah. So block abilities with tag. Oh, the asset tag needs to be that as well. This ability is blocked if, yeah, so let's actually do it in there instead. We can do it in both. I close the back then. Well, sure. This will work, right? Surely. Let's see if that prevents the insane abuse. Yeah, okay, so now we can only use this once and then this once, and that still gives us like 20 piercing damage, which is like nothing to sneeze at. Like, we still do a fuck ton of damage there, right? Like, this still makes fools out of these guys, like, real hard. And it lasts for long enough to the point where you can get through pretty much like all these 4 enemies and then still a little bit more, presumably. Yeah, actually quite a bit longer. So is it just 60 seconds? It feels like it's longer than 60 seconds, man. I set it to 60 seconds, and I'm fairly confident that this is correct. That there's no like weird time dilation going on with that. Aside from, of course, the actual time dilation that perfect dodges give you. But yeah, no, those are now in place. So before I forget, let me actually add a entry for, like, first and foremost, the where is it? Piercing boost needs to go to the finished abilities, and then I'm on my side monitor, so you can't see what I'm doing. But we'll be there in a moment. Then just like kind of duplicate this. Can I duplicate things? Maybe I can't duplicate things. We can just make a new one. Increase strength. Okay. Cool. Now that we're at this anyway, I do want to go in and change the increased defense to have something similar going on. So activation own tags will be status, stunned, not stunned, buff, defense. And then activation blocked tags. I guess block ability with tag, might as well. Doesn't really do anything, but just for symmetry's sake, I suppose. Okay, that leaves us with the Demon Bite from Darkness Floor. Electric Smackdown, Icicle Shards, Meteor Strike, the Poison Cloud, sending enemies to the end of the game. That's probably going to be a stream in and of itself. Spikes in a row between the player and the target. Spikes from the floor around the target's tentacles, which I'm not going to do today because it requires real time. Okay, I really need to look into that. And zero gravity. I think I'm going to go with like Poison Cloud, because that's fairly easy to do. So yeah, let's just make an actor for the Poison Cloud, which can just be... this folder is a mess. But this is the one that we're going to do it in. I just realized I don't think I have anything set up. Oh, that would be bad. I don't think I have anything set up for something to die if you're not the last thing hitting it. Because it's technically applying like damage through my damage interface every single time. But if it's a gameplay effect that causes damage, it's not triggering that event, which checks whether or not you're dead. So I need to have a delegate that fires anytime the attribute gets updated, which I don't know if that's by default blueprint accessible. We'll see in a moment though. Let's call this BP Poison Cloud, because this is fairly straightforward and fairly easy. It's just a sphere collision. It's a fairly big sphere collision. Let's say something like 250 in radius. Might become bigger eventually. And then we'll add a nanoparticle system. I don't have a Poison Cloud system off the top of my head right now, obviously. But we can just put in the blood fountain for now, for testing purposes. And then, anytime something overlaps with it, we cast to the enemy class. I guess we don't need to cast to enemy technically. We can do is a soft, just to get in the habit of that, because again, it's a thing that is possible to do now. When there's an enemy, we get ability system components and we apply effects to self, and the effect that we'll be applying is just a damage effect. Well, no, it's actually not just a damage effect, is it? But it'll be a good starting point. Because damage just... Oh no, that doesn't work that way. That's... Why is that? Why is that? That's weird. Is this the damage one that I know? Player damage. Yeah, this is the one. So we... I guess we just make a generalized tick damage. Well, let's make this just poison damage specifically, because I don't think it's easy to set the length of applying this dynamically. Aside from it being infinite and then explicitly removing it. But I don't really want to do that, because then I need to like keep track of all that, and that seems like a lot of work. And we're using gameplay ability to prevent having to do a lot of work. Says the guy who made his own gameplay ability system, just because fucking... Well, I'm not using it here, but I'm going to be using it for my turn-based system, because... I also wanted to do that just for the challenge of it, and because I figured it would make for a good tutorial series. But for the turn-based RPG segment of the game, I essentially reconstructed the entire gameplay ability system to work on a turn-based... like a turn-based basis, instead of like real-time action basis, which... I could have just used the normal gameplay ability system for that. But this just works like 2% better. So I decided to spend like 40 hours developing that. And now I need to like make it like nativize it in C++ still. So I don't know. I'll probably do that off stream because that's a lot of work. Anyway, has duration. Even using gas is still a lot of work. I mean, yeah, but it does take care of a lot of things for you. Like everything, like making a game is a lot of work, period. Like, first and foremost. Like there's nothing that's not a lot of work about making a video game. Oh, I guess the duration can be... Ooh, that could actually be something, couldn't it? I'm just thinking, the duration could be the... No. I was going to say the duration can be the level that we put in. But I want the level that we put in still to be the damage. So that doesn't actually work that well. But yeah, no, making a video game in the best of times is just like a shit ton of work. So even with help from like pre-existing asset to pre-existing like code, it's still a shit ton of work. Just like slightly less shit ton of work. I guess we can set this by color. So if we set this by color, we can still use this as a singular gameplay effect. Just in like a different length for burn, a different length for poison, a different length for stuff, without needing to make it separate gameplay effects. For now, I'm just going to set this to a scalable float. I'm just going to set it to 10 seconds. And then effect once a second. But it probably will be good to set these things by color eventually, so that I can just like set them by tag. That's what it should be called. It should be called set by tag. I understand that like the color of this effect is the thing that's setting it. But set by tag seems a little bit more descriptive from like the user's perspective, I would say. But yeah, it is going to apply, probably not initially, so 10 times in total. Poison. And then it'll apply like 4 damage. Yeah, and it will just apply it directly to the health. So it'll be quote-unquote piercing damage in that regard. Because it wouldn't make a lot of sense for like poison to burn away at something's defense. Well, maybe it, like, not necessarily that it doesn't make sense, but I'm just gonna say that this is the way that we do it. So fucking deal with it. Before we do anything, making an ability for this. I'm just going to put one of these in the world and see if it works. Details. Sphere. Hidden in game being false, please. I just want to see some enemies get like poison damaged. So if you come through here, you're going to get damaged. And that's what I mean. Was it a little bit of work to set up all of those parameters and stuff like that? Yeah, of course it was. But it is so easy to just have to set up a couple of parameters. And I didn't do any code. Like that took no actual coding to do when we have a poison effect. Like, isn't that just fantastic? That's kind of neat. What's less neat is the fact that this thing is not So please follow me and get poisoned again, because I need to test this. Because I might have already like hooked this up to some kind of delegate in the past and I just forgot about it. But I'm gonna guess that it's just not gonna die from poison. And this poison can also probably stack, right? Yeah, that stacks. And it doesn't kill. Okay, so there's a couple of things to do there. The first one is slightly problematic, potentially, because I don't know if that's blueprint exposed, because I don't think it is. We can just make a delegate on the enemy class for that, if need be. But I would prefer it if that's just blueprint exposed by default. So let's BP, is it like basic enemy? Enemy base? Enemy base. Ability system component. Don't let me, letting me down. Unless it's part of the struct itself. Hopeful voice inflection. Get attribute set. Attribute set class would be the base attribute sets. Assign, no, bind, no, there's nothing like that. It's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal, I don't think. So what we can just do is the base attribute set. It already has like this pre-attribute change. And that's on the attribute set. So all that we need to do there, and that's like, that's not a delegate, right? That's just a function. Well, that's getting triggered likely by some kind of delegate, but I don't know where. But I guess we need to do this on post attribute changed anyway. Yeah, we don't even need to send anything through. We just need to make a like dynamic. Well, we need to like declare dynamic multicast delegate. F was damaged, and just make one on this. And then virtual void post attribute change, and we'll also do post attribute base change just to be sure. So virtual void all that. Oh, post gameplay effect execute. That might actually be much better. Let's do that instead. I guess this technically wouldn't just be damage, but alright. This, however, does need to be a U delegate that is blueprint, right? Blueprint callable. I need it to be blueprint assignable as well. Or do we need to... I always forget how this works. Oh, hold on. Multicast is the issue, I think. No? We have ChatGPT for this. Unreal making a blueprint exposed delegate so I can bind blueprint events to it. Well, in C++. What did I miss? ChatGPT, please answer me, otherwise I'm going to go to Gemini. ChatGPT is being a bitch boy. So we're going to copy my query and I'm going to go to Google. Gemini. Which apparently is better for code anyway. Oh, so it's just a U property. What's you delegate for then? I always get this mixed up. U property blueprint assignable. I guess all that. And this does need to be only allowed on multicast delegates. Yeah, so dynamic multicast delegate. There we go. Okay. All that aside, let's make sure that everything is saved before we recompile. Because now we need to do one more thing. Well, do we? We don't necessarily need to do... We might want to do this just on the enemy CPP as well, right? Because we're making... Are we making this on here? Get set, enemy attribute set, yeah. So our attributes here already have that as well, right? So if we go, yeah. Attributes. Like damage, what on was damaged? We can add dynamic to that and then we can make a blueprint implementable event for that. Seems like that might be the better way to do it to begin with. Yeah, let's do that. So let's make a in public, I guess. U function blueprint implementable events. Void on was damaged. I don't know if I don't think we need these. I'm sure we don't need these because we're binding this to a delegate that I myself made. Hold the hell on. So yeah, I'll get rid of those. Definition of function will be generated by Unreal header tool. What the hell are you talking about, man? Oh, it doesn't need to be implemented. Yeah, because, yeah, blueprint implement, that makes sense. Oh, but that means that because it's going to have like this weird, like, implementation? How can I call a blueprint implementable event from C++? I forget. Yeah, so that implementation should be the, well, that's Not implement the blueprint. Yeah, we'll get to that, okay? Unreal run blueprint implementable. Because if I just want to run on damage, that works, right? Well, without the implementation part. Like that much it'll let me do. Just like binding to it is maybe a problem. I mean, at which point just making this blueprint... What is blueprintable again? I just want to check something out real freaking quick. Can I overwrite the... Which one's gonna overwrite from just like the normal? None of these. Okay. I'm looking for a blueprint native event, perhaps. I think I might be looking for the blueprint native event. Why is it bitching about this though? Define the C++ delegate. We have that. Implement the delegate calling function. Oh, that's a good point, isn't it? So if we just do this a little differently, don't make this an event, but if we just make that not a delegate, do we have... Why do we have 3 different declarations for the same type of delegate? What the hell? Damage event. It's technically a damage event. We'll deal with that. That's fine. On was damaged. And then we'll just make a void was damaged CPP. So it's just not doing this like at all, is it? One has to wonder why. Am I missing something super obvious? user object function name. Is it just... confused. Okay, let's leave that for now, because I think we're not being like super productive, and we can just bind to it in Blueprint anyway, right? But that, like, all those things should have worked in one way or another. I don't know why it's being a little like annoying bitch about it. Speaking of which, oh yeah, you're still open. That's, it doesn't look like building while Unreal's still open. Yeah, so not really sure what was going on there. Wait, do you have problems again? Or you just... I think you have problems again, don't you? Let's try again. Now it's actually building the files. Cool. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. We deleted that. And that's on make files. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. ChatGPT still hasn't answered. Google for life. I mean, we made that blueprint assignable delegate to begin with on the attribute side, right? So we should be able to just get that. And like live a happy life with it. And then the gameplay effect for poison, by the way, before I forget, should probably also be limited to only one application. But let's see, ability system. Hello. Thank you. Get attribute sets. I think I put that in the base attribute sets. A sign-on was damaged. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. But we should be able to just get attributes, because that's just a variable that we have, right? Yes. And that should also allow us to bind to that. Cool. Because we set that in C++. So we can just do that on begin play instead. And then whatever our damage checking code for dying is, we can just move into there instead. And I think we put that in like deal damage. Apply damage. Somewhere in here, I think. Call on damaged. So this is a bunch of code for spawning quick kill. And then we also have quite a lot of baked in code here for, okay, that's maybe like not ideal. Add loose gameplay tag. So everything up here is when it's dead. And this is where it checks whether or not it's dead. So, it's a little less trivial than I thought it was going to be. But I guess, I mean, we can just like get this. We need to add all that stop logic, and we need to feed it. There's a little code there as well. Collapse all this into a function. Check if dead. And then I guess we put this in there as well. And we can get rid of this. Okay. So if he's not that, then we like do all this stuff, right? That makes sense. Attributes can just be get attributes the variable. So don't need that to be in inputs. That's fantastic. Get rid of one of the inputs already. The other input pin is get the AI controller. That can be brain component stop logic. We don't need to do that anymore because that can just be this. So we can get rid of that one as well. Then we have the new item. What the hell is this new item even doing? That's the GUID, I guess. Right. Let's just check where this is coming from. New item. Yeah, both of those are just a GUID, so I can just provide that in add unique, and then is valid. So that takes in no more parameters, which makes it a whole lot easier to deal with. Compile. Doesn't quite compile yet. Why not? Input pin. Oh yeah. So we check if it's dead. And we also do that now within this, which I guess we only need to do it in here actually. Yeah. Yeah. Because we just applied a gameplay effect to it, didn't we? So this is going to run either way. So we can... Yeah, that simplifies things. Let's see if everything still works. Because it might not. And that would be... terrifying, I think is the word that I'm looking for. Before we do anything else, checking whether or not now poison can kill these things or not. Let's see if we can still kill them, because I think that's like quite a relevant question at this point. Answer is no. In fact, we cannot do that. Next question would be, can the poison kill them though? I doubt it, but it's worth giving it a shot. Yeah, no. So they just don't die. Assign on was damaged. Okay, so something is not working there. Access non-trying to read attributes. Ooh, that can make sense. That can make some sense. Because this... Does it need a call to parent function if the parent is C++? I guess we don't even need to like kill the enemies. We just need to like spawn some of them in and see if it. Okay. That's okay. That's fine. We can just do this the other way. We can get attribute sets of this type. And try to use that instead. Fuck. Oh, hold on. This is still hooked up. We might be good. That might still work. We might be good. I'm just kind of confused as to why that variable doesn't work on begin play. But yeah, so no arrows there. Which might be good. Might not be, but we'll see. Please just lose your HP and disappear. Okay, that works. Now let's see if you can also die from poison damage. You do! There we friggin' go. Now when they die from poison damage, they don't have me as the instigator of that death. And I don't know if there is a convenient good way for me to be the instigator of that death. Because it's been applied by a ongoing gameplay effect. And I don't think the gameplay effect... Does it send through like the origin points of the effect's damage? Gameplay effects, not callback data. That might have the original applier of the gameplay effect. Let's see if it does. Because if so, we might need to change the thing here. Oh, just call this data. Dots. There's nothing that I can like get from this, is there? But I can just open this up. Definition of struct in two different places. Gameplay effect types or gameplay effects. Let's look at this one. That's just a forward declaration. That's not what I wanted at all. Can you show me where this is actually declared? That would be fucking brilliant if you could. No, no, you cannot. Okay. Yeah, there's no documentation for it. That makes sense. Because why would that be? If you could just show me like your source code, that would be all that I need. But you're not doing that. Cached pointer to current mod data for callbacks. We cache this in hstructs to avoid passing through all the delegate aggregator plumbing. Yeah, okay, that's good for you. So yeah, long story short, I don't think we're going to be able to easily send through whoever sent that data or that that stuff. Through with the delegate, that is. Which is annoying. And also should be something that we can very much get. I think. I did this in the past, I'm pretty sure. Just don't remember how. Well, something like it anyway. But I didn't do it through a delegate, so that might be like through this. I think I just did that explicitly by doing like applying and then. Yeah, I didn't just apply a duration effect and then have the tick damage. That's actually kind of annoying that that's not easy to do. You would assume that that's not like that troublesome, to do, but apparently it kind of is. Not something to dwell on right now, I don't think. It works, and it's just it doesn't give us credit for the kill, which technically does mean, I think, that when it dies, it doesn't give me experience, but it doesn't give me experience on check if that is anyway. It gives me experience in applied damage. Hold on, where does it give me experience? Because experience is now not a drop anymore, right? The workaround is to make it an actor drop again that I just have to pick up, by the way. Do I even get experience for killing things? Did I break that and just not fix it ever? Is that what's going on? Because that might be what's going on. Let's see. When I kill this dude, yeah, it just doesn't give me experience. I did kill him with a yeah, it's just not giving me experience. So that's annoying. But also kind of good. Because I thought I'd done one thing, but apparently I didn't. So check if dead. We have this enemy defeated. I think in here we used to... Oh, that's where we do it. Yeah, okay. So if enemy is defeated, we play the animation death montage. We said, is that true? Is active to false? This can probably always be the same thing, but hey, whatever. Death particle to true. Enemy defeated broadcast. Sure. Actor children. Destroy any actor children. I don't know why I'm doing that, but sure. We get to play a character. We set the game mode. What do we do with the game mode? What does the game mode even get used for? Oh, the enemy XP multiplier. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So XP to add is XP on death times enemy multiplier. Rounded experience is ceiling to int, and then player XP is plus equal to rounded XP. Player lock-on tries to find a new lock-on. So that means that they give me experience anyway, no matter what. Which I suppose is fine. Does that just mean that the zombie doesn't have an XP on death value? Because that kind of seems like that's what's going on. Let's see. XP, yeah, his XP on death is just 0, so let's set that to like 10 for testing purposes. Because that should now even give me experience when I like let him die through poison. So follow me into the poison cloud, please. Either or both of you will do. So when you die from poison, I get experience. Fantastic. Or souls. I'm not going to call it souls in the final game. I added something. I broke 4 existing things. Shouldn't be allowed near code. Man, that's just the story of my life. Instant kill also works. I need to make like an epic animation for that with like a camera animation and something like that, but all in due time. So yeah, the poison cloud actor now works. Now we just need to make an ability that spawns one of these things and make a particle effect that doesn't suck. Easier said than done. So let's make the gameplay ability. We'll just copy an existing one over because I don't give a shit. And this is going to be super easy, right? Because this will just be poison cloud. I'm thinking the poison cloud is probably going to be an ability that you pick up in like the... I think the next thing up on the to-do list for dungeons is the factory. So I think that makes sense to do. So I guess, I mean, this doesn't really matter for this. That doesn't matter. We just need to commit ability and then spawn actor of class. Yeah, that's really all that we need to do, isn't it? We just need to spawn actor for class. Get the transform for our... Well, let's actually not get the transform. Let's just get the location. And then we do stuff and things. Poison cloud. That's the thing that we're going to do. And that will remove itself after like 60 seconds. So we can like instantly just end ability. And that's kind of everything there is to it. To be like 1000% honest with you. So let's open this up. Begin play. We just delay by go for 60 seconds. Then stop or deactivate. Deactivate is what we're looking for. And then delay for another 2 seconds or something. And then destroy. So let's make a quick little VFX thing for this. Do I have a VFX? Yes. It's going to be pretty bad, but it'll exist, I guess. Fountain will be a good one to start with. FX S for FX system, and then poison cloud. So I'm thinking shape location, sphere with a big radius. Where are my particles to begin with? What the fuck? Where's my particles? Dude! And then the velocity will be... linear, I guess? Oh, there's my particles. Why is it so slow? I don't think I want a gravity force for this. And then the velocity that we add on particle spawn will just be... Can we just make like random vector? And then the scale will be like 100. And then the shape location will be a fair bit bigger. Initialized particle will be for now just 25 to 40. Color will set to purple because it's poison. We'll make a material for this, I'm sure, at some point. That point is not today. And then the scale color, I mean, probably good to also make it fade in, to be honest. And then adding in a new emitter that is just like a burst. Do we have an omnidirectional burst? We should have an omnidirectional burst, right? I think. Floor burst. That might be a good one. Omnidirectional burst. There we go. So this one loops once. This one loops infinitely until we finish it off. So we start with that. Also doesn't have a gravity force. Also has... shape location, we're going to go for a ring with a smaller radius. And then the initial velocity is from point. Why does it go up? I don't want them to go up. And then this needs to be a way smaller range, like 200 to 225 or something. Oh no, that's a bigger range. Actually more like 500 to 550 maybe. Need to have a little bit of oomph to it. Let's go for 700 to 750 and then make the lifetime just shorter, I think. Yeah, lifetime, set that to max like 1.2 and minimum 0.7. And then the size, obviously, it's going to be like 15 to 25. Color is going to be a little bit more pink, I want to say, maybe. And I think even bigger is probably actually pretty good. And as they become bigger, they also need to become faster, because that's how that works. So let's go 1500 to 1600, and then initialize particle. Set this to 0.3 to 0.5. Scale color also started a little lower. yeah, that adds in a little bit of extra burst at the start that kind of indicates and more or less masks the beginning of the actual like other particles like spawning in, which also suck, don't get me wrong. But, you know, just making these bigger also might actually just like do something good. And then maybe just a slight bit more see-through as well. It gets the point across for now. Room for improvement, no doubt about that. But there's a lot of things with room for improvement in the game, so sue me. The size actually is pretty decent, surprisingly. Just based off of kind of like vibes, right? Oh, the outlines are the outlines are not quite it, are they? On this, that's not great. Didn't think about that. There's not much we can do about that, I'm afraid. But yeah, we have this now, and I mean, it kind of gets like the point across, right? Being in here is dangerous. Now, let's remove... Where's my cursor? There it is. Now, let's remove this one. If I can click on it. There we go. And actually make it into an ability. Well, we already made it into an ability. I just need to make it into an item that I can use the ability with. So this will be Poison Clout. And let's see. I think this is Poison Cloud, the last one. Yeah, room for improvement. For sure. But, I mean, technically works. That's the most important thing about what we're going after at the moment. So yeah, these still do stack, so this will start absolutely annihilating these guys, because they have like 3 or 4 applications of the effects on top of each other. So yeah, maybe we don't want that to be happening. Because it's also stalling their death. Because they're getting so many damage instances applied, they can't finish that death animation. They also don't seem to be disappearing all that much, do they? Ooh, 2 item drops. Oh, this one disappeared, so it does just take a while. 60 seconds is a lot longer than you think it is. I suppose with that initial burst, it kind of feels like everything that is within a certain radius also should just like get instant poisoned. But yeah, don't care about that. I do care about gameplay effect poison. So stacking. Can Can I just prevent it from stacking? That would be ideal. I don't know why it's aggregate by target. So stack limit counts. Just doesn't allow it to stack, right? So this should now no longer absolutely annihilate them with like 10 different poisons on top of each other, I think. If I do this, yeah, they still only get one poison. So still poison that does, well, no, because that does seem like it's actually dealing more damage than it should. Right? Hey, you, come over here. Because the poison, maybe, I don't know. Follow me, please. The poison is dealing damage every second for 10 seconds, and it's supposed to deal, I think, 4 damage. So that's dealing like that much damage going through all of those. It might just be entering all of them at the same time, is what I'm thinking. So if we apply one of them here, does that deal like less damage? Yeah, that deals like visibly less damage. So it still is stacking. It's still stacking. Why is it still stacking? Is that not what this does? Or should this be 1? If true, stacking attempts made while the stack count will fail, resulting in the duration and context not being refreshed. Is it just a component that I can do? Block abilities with tags, no. Remove other effects. I mean, I guess. Immunity to other effects. Immunity is blocking the application of other gameplay effects. This registers a global handler on the ability system component, something, to block the application of other gameplay effect specs. So can I tell it to block application of other poison? So this doesn't seem to do what I thought it did. Maybe this is what we want, but let me check other components that maybe can do something for us. Apply additional effects. Oh, we can make effects that apply other effects. That's actually still kind of useful. Remove other effects. Immunity to other effects. No. Chance to apply another effect. No, I think that the immunity to other effects is probably what we want. It blocks the application, so it doesn't even like block. Well, it might block the. I don't know what block application means necessarily. Does it block the application of the effect in the first place? Or does it block the effect from, well, taking effect? Okay, that's the amount of damage it does now. I don't know, that doesn't seem like it's doing more damage now. And we did actually get to the end and it's about halfway through. So I think that means that it's no longer stacking the poison effect. But now that I go through again. Yeah, so spamming poison doesn't do anything, is the point, right? We don't want it to do anything. It does deal a lot of damage though. Okay. Poison Cloud is well, I hesitate to call it done. Obviously. We should also only allow it to die once, but for now not the most important thing in the world. But it's functional. So let's call that the poison cloud also being finished for now. I think we're gonna leave it there for right now. We actually did a decent amount of stuff today, compared to usual streams anyway. So yeah, I think maybe we'll keep at this for next week as well, because I mean I'm having a bit of fun making these abilities now. I'm not gonna lie to you. It kind of depends on maybe during the weekend I'll do some of this stuff on my own time, but I also have a lot of other stuff to be doing, like making that turn-based RPG in C++, getting the initial code for this fucker all set up, because I still haven't done that, getting the initial code for this fucker all set up, because I still haven't done that, fine-tuning a couple extra abilities for this guy, because I still, say it with me, haven't done that. And then there's also the fact that I've been slowly replacing the Catacombs dungeon with actual meshes and art assets. So probably won't be going around making many abilities over the weekend. So we'll probably do that on Tuesday when we're back. And then on Thursday again. And we'll slowly make some dents in this stuff. I don't know which ones we'll be doing. Probably some easy ones, I would imagine. But maybe we'll be doing sending them to the end of the game next week. It's actually not that difficult. I've been thinking about it. It's pretty easy. They all have a GUID anyway. So all that I need to do is keep I keep two different lists in like the game instance and the save file. One with the GUID of every enemy that has been like vanished. So that every enemy, when it tries to activate, it can first check, hey, am I on the vanished list? If so, don't activate. And then also one list that just stores all the classes of everything that has been vanished. So that I can use that array to just spawn them in that like wave-based thing at the end of the game. So it's actually pretty easy, I think, to code that. Is this a game you're making? Yep. And it has been for a while, and it will be for a while longer, because I have no sense of self-preservation and maintaining a reasonable scale. But yeah. Sounds easy, like most things. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty easy, because we already have the GUID set up, because that's what characters use to decide whether or not they should spawn in from like a respawning perspective, right? Because when I go into just say everything before I do this. When I go into the persistent world here, real quick for you. Take a moment, but we'll get there. All the enemies in the game already have... Hold on a moment. Make them visible. There we go. They already all have a GUID, right? So I can click on this and then I can look for their GUID, because what they already do is when I kill them and I leave the room and I re-enter the room, before they set themselves to like being active and being like visible and having collision and all that kind of stuff, they already check if that GUID exists in a list of GUIDs of currently dead enemies. And then when I like touch a checkpoint, which somewhere will be a checkpoint in theory, in some place, at some point. There's one over here. When I touch a checkpoint, this just clears that list of currently dead enemies. I just need to also keep a list of like vanished enemies that doesn't ever get cleared, and then I can just save that because GUIDs are save friendly because they're just like a couple of integers, technically speaking. So that should be pretty easy. And then just saving. The only thing is saving the class references. We might do that in one of two different ways. We might save the file path to the classes. Or we might save the name of the enemy and keep the file paths, like keep the classes in a data table with those names. Because that'll make it a little bit easier to save. I don't like super love saving like file paths because it's also like a little bit more prone to breaking if at any point you change like the structure of your project or whatever. So I'll probably do something with like that data table setup. I actually kind of like that. I just literally came up with that, but I think that's going to be a good way to do it. So you can just save the row name and then just get the source class reference from the data table, load it in, and then spawn them. So that should just be like half an hour of work, which means that we're going to take 2 hours to do it. But I don't know, maybe we'll do a different ability first. We'll see. But for now, it's been a good stream, and I'll be back on Tuesday. So thanks everybody for coming to hang out and listening to me complain about everything in life.